Have you ever wondered about that one decision that changes everything? Welcome to Crossroads and Callings. I am your host, Chimere Brown, and each week we uncover the stories of people just like you, exploring the pivotal crossroads that revealed their true purpose and calling. I have the pleasure of welcoming the illustrious K'Ntrice Yvonne to the show to share her journey. So get your pen and pad ready. Crossroads and Callings starts now. K'Ntrice Yvonne is an interior designer. Actually, I call you a jack of all trades in my mind because you do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But in addition to that, she is a confidence coach and the visionary between I Design Styles, which is a lifestyle brand devoted to transforming both spaces. And I really believe that you are transforming people's lives. And I really love that about you. So I look forward to getting to know more about that. But this all came from you leaving a 20-year in corporate America to build what you call a life that you don't need a vacation from. Yeah. I love that quote. And then that is where I would love to begin the conversation. I want to understand, what was the dichotomy between the life that you were living at that time and the life that you envisioned for yourself?
You know what? I would say the dichotomy that exists for me was I felt like I was surviving my life. I felt like I was just a character in this story of my life. I was so unhappy. I was making good money. I was in a long-term relationship. I had finally had a son. I finally had a child with me and my partner at the time. And I was absolutely miserable. I felt like I was putting on a face every day to go to work. I was putting on a face every day to be a mom. I was putting on a face to be a wife. And I was like, I remember waking up each morning, putting myself in a light hypnotic state just to function for the day.
Wow.
And I checked all the boxes though. I'm a Black woman. I got my MBA. I got the husband. I got the son. I'm making the money. And I could not have been more disconnected from my life and more unhappy. I sat across every day from people that didn't look like me, from people that told me where my value lied, and in sales, I was in tech sales. You're only as good as your last sale.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
So as the economy is plummeting and there's a lot of compression happening in the tech world, you're still expected to perform, right? So you got to come to work, put on your best face, perform, outsell everybody. Then you got to go home. You got to be a mom. Then you got to go home. You got to be a wife. And all the while I was just drowning in the inside.
So what was that moment? Because I realized that there are a lot of people that I call corporate zombies in the sense that you've done other things. You had that list, that checklist of what you were supposed to be and do. And then you've done all that. What was your now what moment when you decided, like, this is not what I want to do anymore? Now I'm going to change. What was that aha for you?
So that moment happened for me in two parts, actually.
Okay.
The first part was I'm 6 months pregnant in the hospital with COVID, 75% lung damage and on oxygen. That's the first thing. I said, I feel like I've had a lot of time behind me. I don't know how many years I have ahead of me. What am I going to do different? So then I said, in 5 years, I'm leaving corporate America and I'm launching my interior design brand. Boom. That was like the first. And then when I finally made it 2 months later, as I was getting out of the hospital and I had given birth to my son, I knew that I couldn't do it for another 5 years. I went back to work. I remember there was an incident where my son was breastfeeding and I was in a meeting with my manager at the time. And I was like, hey, our meeting was supposed to end like 30 minutes ago. My son is screaming in the corner. I need to pause for 5 minutes and go breastfeed. And he said, no. He said, we need at least another 20 more minutes. And there was there was this insensitivity. There was this heartlessness. And I said, I can't be a part of this world anymore. I can't. And so it wasn't just one awakening. It was several. It was almost like an onion, like I needed like an onion being peeled. I needed several different things to keep happening where finally I could say, like, I'm completely done and I don't care what it costs me. I'm never going back.
Yeah. You dropped a bomb on us about that being pregnant in the hospital with COVID. You're a new mom. I mean, nothing wakes you up like a near-death
Ooh,
experience.
girl.
I want you to just unpack the emotion of that time, because I feel like most expected mothers are very just well thought out and intentional about that time and being well thought out and planned. This is how I want this process to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you were blindsided, not only being in the hospital early to deliver a premature baby, but you also had COVID.
Mm-hmm.
What was the trail of events that led to that point? How was your partner supportive, your community? Because that's jarring when you're faced with your own mortality.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it was, first of all, COVID was a scary time for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I had my, what do they call it? Like the people, the network that you hung with only. Like, I forget what they call it. Like your COVID, it was like I only hung with certain people during COVID.
It was like your village. We can just call it your COVID
village.
village.
My COVID village. So I had my COVID village. We all hung with each other. Our family, the same family members hung with each other. And we really didn't go outside that bubble because we knew how each other were moving.
Yes.
So before I gave birth, I said, I want to spend time with my nieces and nephews. And so they all came up from Michigan to see me because that's where I'm from. And we were having like a last little hoorah with Auntie before she gives birth, and it's kind of walking in motherhood. Unbeknownst to me, all three of them had COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Unbeknownst to me. So I went from being around nobody with COVID to 3 kids with COVID who were hugging, kissing on me. We sharing
loving
food,
on you.
Loving on Auntie. And so I had a very high viral count. Like it was pretty aggressive. And so I went into the hospital and I went into ICU. I wasn't getting better. They actually kept trying to wean me off of oxygen. And every time they tried to wean me off oxygen, they would actually do it at night while I was sleeping. So I would wake up in ICU gasping for air because the nurses took it upon themselves to say, well, her oxygen levels seem normal, so we're going to just take her down off the oxygen.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of decisions were actually made like that for me while I was
sedated.
When I was in that very, I mean, the life force was really leaving my body. Like, there actually came a point in time where I told them to intubate me. I said, go ahead and intubate me and let my body carry my son into this earth, but I'm done.
Wow.
And then they asked my husband at the time and my mother, who do you want us to save? Do you want us to save your child or do you want us to save her? Because we're at the point where we're exploring intubation because I was on the BiPAP machine. And they elected to save me, but I wanted to save my son. Yes. It took me 40 years to get pregnant with him.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
he's the promise.
I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I know God got him. I got a great village that'll take care of him. I've done my part. And I remember the doctors coming to me and saying, just stay one more day. Just start envisioning yourself breathing again, taking deep breaths. But I was not only fighting a battle for my life to breathe, I was fighting a battle with the healthcare system.
Yes.
So I wasn't believed, I wasn't heard, even though I'm laying up there on a BiPAP machine. Many of the nurses, they treated me poorly, you know, and I checked all the boxes. I'm married, I'm making good money, I got premium insurance, and it didn't matter. So when I told them I couldn't breathe, oftentimes they told me, yes, you can. Your oxygen numbers say one thing. And so I told them, you guys need to give, one of my girlfriends actually told me, she's like, you need to tell them to ask for a scan of your lungs. Finally, they did a scan of my lungs and discovered 75% of my lungs had been damaged from COVID pneumonia. So while they were trying to wean me off, they were actually making it worse.
Worse, yes.
And so once that happened, then fortunately things started to turn a bit, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
And I was in complete isolation. So I wasn't able to be held by anybody that I loved. I wasn't able to be touched by anybody I loved. The only time I could talk to my people is when I was on a cell phone on video chat. So it changed me forever. If I could say anything that changed me to the fabric of who I am,
yes,
it was sitting in a hospital pregnant, trying just to survive for 2 months.
I feel like this is just uncovering a larger issue. I believe I have a stat here that the CDC reported that the maternal mortality rate for Black women in particular in 2023 was 50.3 deaths per 100,000 live births. And that is more than white women, more than Asian women, more than Hispanic women. And you're bringing up all of the things. I did everything right. I stayed within my community. I had the right health care. I had my partner, my family in place, and still you're still subjected to the biases within the medical field. For those that may be like expected mothers, what advocacy or advice could you give them as working mothers expecting children? How can they protect themselves from a situation like this and not being heard?
You know what? One of the things that I do now, one of my best friends was just in the hospital, and not only did it bring up so much kind of PTSD that I had around just being in a hospital for that amount of time and having the experience that I had, but what I learned is I didn't have anybody really advocating for me when I was in the hospital. It was COVID. You couldn't even call and get anybody really, you know? And so there came a point where I even had to try to write stuff down on paper because I couldn't talk. But if I had any advice for mothers, it would be call the elephant out in the room. Hey, Black women typically aren't heard. Black women typically aren't valued or seen in this space. I need to know that my voice is important. I need to know that when I tell you something doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Yes.
And so call the elephant out in the room. Even my girlfriend who was just in the hospital, I let it be known when I was talking to her nurses, hey, she's a Black woman. If she says she's in pain, you need to give her the pain medication. We're not going to treat her like, oh, she has a high pain tolerance. She's in here, she's hospitalized. Give her the medicine that you're supposed to give her. So literally from the beginning, calling the elephant out in the room so that they know that you're aware of your rights, number one. This is not a free service.
Yeah.
Right? You guys are getting
you
paid. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want your discounted work. Asking those tough questions, don't just take the medicine they give you. There was one time they gave me a pill. I didn't even know what it was. I'd never seen it before. Imagine receiving a pill as a pregnant woman and they telling you to just take it and then they can't tell you what the pill even is. And then they get angry at you for not taking it. If I didn't have my own mind, I would have just took it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, what if this had an adverse reaction
on your baby?
With my baby?
Yeah.
What is this impact? Well, I don't know. The doctor just said, take it. But what is it? And they would get angry with me because I was asking questions and learning how to advocate for myself. So I would say ask questions, understand your rights. If they're suggesting or recommending you do something, get the understanding behind why. I would say if you could have somebody go to your doctor's appointments with you. I never had anybody there with me. So there was my partner at the time was living in another state for work. So I was at home alone, a lot by myself. My pregnancy process was very, it was a lot of alone time, if I could be honest, just because of the season that we were in and where everybody was. So.
I mean, if this was a different show, I would say put some names on. Let's call them out, but I don't want to be sued.
Okay.
Because what a traumatic experience. And at the same time, you're on maternal leave. What was your road to recovery like? Because you said from that experience, your mortality became real. You said, I want to live differently, but you didn't make a change right away.
Right.
So was it, let me focus on my mind and mental health first before I worry about getting back to business? What was that process like for you?
You know what? It was one day at a time. I remember needing my mother so much. I was like, oh gosh, I've never been a mom. You know what I'm saying? I remember needing my grandma so much. She had passed away like right before I got married. A lot of my friends didn't have children at the time. So it was like, I felt like brick by brick, moment by moment, sometimes I was rebuilding myself and who I was as a woman because I was completely broken in the hospital. I've never been that humbled. I've never been that vulnerable. I've never been that out of control. I was a person that prided myself on being in control of things. Right? I'm a Black woman in corporate America. I'm the middle child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm jet setting. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm in control of my life. I realized I had control over nothing. And so I said, I'm going to rebuild myself and my life brick by brick. And I don't even know what that's going to look like. But I'm going to just keep waking up, putting one foot in front of the other every day. I didn't even do anything to lose weight. Like, I was just like, my body just going to have to go back to the way it was on its own because I just got to focus on being mentally okay. Yeah. And literally day by day, I would watch tons of comedy shows. I would listen to a lot of meditative and restorative healing music. I would have praise and worship every day. Maverick City Music, shout out to them. They carried me through.
Yeah.
Okay. Maverick City Music carried me through every day. I was in the hospital, girl. You should have saw it. They would see me in there worshiping and crying every day. And I did that. And that literally is what helped rebuild me brick by brick. And help me be the woman that's sitting before you today.
Yeah.
You know.
Overall, how long was the hospital stay?
2 months.
2 months.
It was 2 months.
And then how long did it take you to get back into somewhat framework of like normal or kind of normal, like back to work?
So I had to be back to work 3 months later.
3 months.
3 months later, I had to be back to work.
Was an extension even an option for you?
So I had already been off work 2 months before then with COVID.
Oh, okay.
So my company in that regard were very generous. I had been off like 5 months.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay.
It's time to
just come back and just make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And so, but my manager at the time was just so insensitive. And we were at a work event. And my company was it was a tech startup company out of North Carolina. And I remember talking to my senior leadership and I said, hey, I'm getting ready to leave the company. I said, my manager is insensitive. I just had a baby. I just came from a very traumatic situation. I can't do this. And they were like, just hold on. We're going to get you a new manager. And they did. And it actually turned out to be one of my best friends who brought me to the company.
Wow. Okay.
And so I was able to stay there a little bit longer. Yeah, that right there. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, I do want to take a step back because I told the listeners in episode 1 that I want to give people helpful how-tos and not just speak at a high level.
Got you.
And you said brick by brick, and you mentioned worship, so there was some faith in there.
Oof.
And then you mentioned mindset. Could you give us some insight to what a day in a life was for you? Was like during that period of recovery?
During the period of recovery, one thing I learned is I look different now. My body looks different. My face looks different. My life looks different. And so I knew that I had to learn to love the woman that I saw before me because I didn't recognize her. I said, who are you? And I remember I used to look at her and be like, you're so weak. You're so vulnerable. I didn't recognize her because I always presented with this strength.
Yeah.
But that was a presentation. Because when you are broken to your core, then you are truly rebuilt in a form that is unshakable and unbreakable. Now I know there's nothing that I can go through that can break me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to cry.
Oh, it's okay.
But like now I know that no matter what comes my way, I can get through it. And what I would do is I would look in the mirror and I would look myself in the soul, in my eyes. You know, they say the eyes are the window to the soul. And I would tell myself 3 things that I loved about me. And I didn't have anything in the beginning because I didn't know how to love this new person that I saw. And so I would listen to what other people say, you know. And so I would tell her, I love your smile. Like when you smile, you light up a room. I love your eyes. When you look at people, it's with intention and you see them. I love the way you show up. You're like a thermostat. You set the temperature, you know. And so that's how I did. I would literally pour into myself every day. And in the beginning, it felt a little inauthentic, you know. But then over time, I started to connect with the words that I was saying. And then I started to take an inventory of my life and the people that were around me. And I looked at who vibrated and matched the energy that I wanted and who didn't. And so I started to distance myself from people that didn't match that vibration and draw closer to people that did. And that ultimately led for me transitioning from my long-term relationship. And we had been together for like 20 years, you know, on and off.
What a shedding, because I think most people, when things are happening externally, the initial goal is to change on what's going on around you. And what you described is what a beautiful journey of getting back to loving you. And I think what people don't teach you when you're younger is how much you evolve and change. Yes. And how you have to be open and receptive to that change. Yes. And I think that's where a lot of the pain comes from, because you work so hard to build that exterior up. Yes. And now when you're stripped of that, now you see yourself, you see the vulnerability in your flaws and your cracks. And I just want to say how beautiful it was for you to get to that point, to just embrace the beauty in imperfection, because that's really what that was. And then from there, I want people to understand, once you fix you, then everything else, now you can look external and start the shedding process. Being that you took that moment to deal with you first, was it easier to let those people go that were originally a part of your community?
It wasn't as hard as it used to be. It wasn't easy though.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you connect and build with people, like, sometimes all you have is time, but the time you know is less scarier than the time you don't.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and so it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. You know, because now I have a little boy that's looking at me.
Yeah.
Right. Now I have this little life that I am not only feeding him through, you know, the nutrients that come from my breast, but I'm feeding his soul with words of, you know, with words of affirmation, and how he sees me model and be in the earth is what he will deem as his example of a woman in the earth. And so that mattered to me. And so it wasn't easy, but my son gave me the courage to make decisions and have conversations that I otherwise was a coward. Like, I presented very strong, but I had a lot of cowardness in me too.
Like, for example,
having tough conversations.
Okay.
Like, I used to be the person that I didn't know how to have hard conversations if I thought it would make the person uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? And then because I didn't have good emotional regulation, when the hit the fan, I would just blow up. Instead of first having an internal conversation to see, what am I really feeling right now? Like, what's going on with me? Is showing up as anger, but is it really disappointment?
Yeah.
You know, is it really unmet expectations? Did I clearly communicate what those expectations were? Right? No, I didn't. So let me sit down and have a conversation with myself first and give me what I need first. Like, I ask me, like, what do you need right now? And I give it to her. And then I'm able to now go and have a vulnerable, and I call it, now I'm walking in my divine femininity. Like a conversation that it don't call people out, but it calls you up.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's be vulnerable. Let's communicate. Let's talk.
Let's talk about it.
There you go.
Yeah. Free of judgment. Let's just have a conversation.
Yep.
And I think from there you can understand, like, are we going to continue on or are we going to go our separate ways? Yeah.
Yeah.
About how many did you have? Were there particular people that you were shedding at that moment? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There were particular people. There were relationships. Like I said, and the toughest one was the one I had been with, my long-term partner, you know, and the father of my child. We had been together on and off since college.
Wow.
You know. Yeah. And so it's like, you finally are married, you finally have a child, and now you want to leave. And then on top of that, you want to leave your marriage, you want to leave corporate America, you want to move, all within the same year.
Yeah.
I did all that. I blew up my whole life.
Let's talk about that, because I really wanted to, we talked about how you are now an entrepreneur. You left for 20 years of corporate America, but that's not before you dropped this bomb. How did you deal with the whispers in the stairs? Because I know you got a lot of judgment for that. And then how did you deal with yourself? Because there is twofold. You like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then it's external. Like, I know you're not leaving this good job and this good Black man and all of these things. So how did you balance the two and decide to stick to your guns about the decisions that you were making?
You know what? I did deal with the stigma of, I don't want to be a single Black woman out here, right? I don't want to be a solo Black mother, right? Corporate America is a safety net for me. I'm making a very comfortable salary. I can travel the world. I can buy whatever I want. I live wherever I want. But I would rather make half of what I made there. I'm gonna just say half. I don't say less. We'll just say half.
Let's have a real conversation about it.
Right. I would rather make half of what I made and have peace of mind every day, because I know that if I'm happy, I'm wealthy.
Yes.
And wealth will come because of who I am. Like, I think about the way my business has evolved and developed. Now, I started off in interior design. Now we have a residential and commercial cleaning business, a decluttering and organizing business, a packing and moving business, and we do property management. All of this has been birthed from that. So I started off thinking it was one thing, but God said, baby, all I needed you to do was take one step, and I was going to take 5. God just needed me to, like, step out.
Yeah.
And so when where I was so, I was comfortable. At first I was comfortably uncomfortable. And then I got so uncomfortable, I couldn't sleep at night. So it didn't matter what people were saying. My friends told me this. One of my best friends said, baby, you wearing the season you in.
What does she mean by that? Because I felt like
I look like a bag of bouquet. I
felt like that came from a place of judgment. Like, did you bathe today? Did you check yourself? Like,
I looked horrible.
Yeah,
I looked horrible. So even you can't put lipstick on a pig. So even if you look into my eyes, I got lipstick on, I'm dressed nice, but my eyes are sad. My energy is low. My vibration is devastating. I'm always complaining about something. It really don't matter how you dress me up.
Right.
And my friends knew me to be vibrating higher than that. And so she told me, you wearing this season you in. She said, ain't no way with up from here. I said, it be your own people. It be your own people.
Right.
But literally when she said that, I thought I was hiding.
Right. You thought you were keeping the mask on, and she was saying, no, sis, we see you.
Because I make people laugh.
Yeah.
What? I smile. Hello? I'm the life of the party, baby.
But thank God for friends like that.
Yes.
Because sometimes you need that type of love in private, so you could really, now you can fix it. Because you weren't holding it together as good as you thought you were. And she said, your scars, your slip is showing. I never forget back in the day when people used to wear slips and they would tap you like, baby, your slip is showing. And that was one of those moments. I feel like that's love. Did you feel loved?
I did. Time? It was funny. And it wasn't even just her at work. I was breaking down crying in every meeting. In every meeting at work, I was breaking down crying.
In front of people?
In front of people. I couldn't even stop it.
Oh, wow.
So my personal life and my professional life were colliding in a way that it was impacting my job.
Okay. So it demanded change.
It demanded change. Okay. I was waking up with chest pain. I was losing weight at an astronomical rate. I was drinking every day. I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
And this was going on and on. I remember my nanny one time, I literally got up and I was preparing for my first meeting of the day and I put some little brown juice in my coffee. And she said, you're not even going to eat yet? And you doing that? And that's just, I was like, oh, I woke up and was doing it each morning so much to just help me relax for the day. I didn't even think about it,
Like muscle memory almost.
Literally, because it's like, let me just prepare for this day. I got to deal with what's going on at home and I got to deal with what's going on at work. Because you got all these other microaggressions at work. You got, when you're not at your best, other people get compassion and other people get judgment, right? If somebody else breaks down crying in a meeting, they stop and they pause and they let her gather herself. Other people, they're like, don't bring it to work, So also the different treatment there, because different people are going through different things. We're still in COVID, right?
Right.
So yeah, my worlds were colliding and I looked like it.
Let's talk about the coming out, because I feel like this is such a great testimony because people break down every day, but not many people know how to get out of it. And I have so much compassion for those that feel stuck, because when life hit and you don't have an exit strategy and you're in it, that's where addiction comes from. And you're looking for healthy outlets and you don't have them. And so I come from a place of compassion where I see people struggling with that. Let's talk about your season of coming out, because you mentioned your design business. What was the jump? Like, how did you make that jump from corporate, I'm at work, I'm crying, I blew up my life, but now I'm going to pick this avenue and design is going to be my outlet?
You know what? I always feel like where you live is a reflection. Where you live and how you live is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And one thing I was known for, anywhere I lived, I was going to design that baby out. Like I'm putting up wallpaper, I'm hanging mirrors and pictures, I'm making
all
everything.
The things.
Oh, I'm making all the things. Like I have the entertaining house, right? And when I was going through all of that transition internally, it's like, how do I impact my environment externally? Because I know there's like some balance here, right? And so as I did that for myself, and like, it's almost like I uprooted and recreated everything externally as well. Like I remember transitioning and ripping down wallpaper, changing out furniture, like moving different things around. And I felt a shift within me. I started to bring the beauty that I wanted to see and that I had inside, and I brought it out into my outer environment, into like my living room or my bedroom. And I asked myself, how do I want to feel when I walk in this room? How do I want others to feel and interact when they walk in this room? And I began to design my house like that. And so I was so blessed that majority of my friends who own homes and businesses said, girl, I love this. I need you to come do this at my home. I need you to come do this at my office. And that's really how my business started to grow. My friends literally said, do this for me. You know me. I like these colors, make it happen.
It sounds like, was it a form of therapy?
It was. Do you know I hung wallpaper? This is what I would do when I was like super depressed. I would wake up. I wouldn't go to sleep. I would just start hanging wallpaper, and I'd wake up in the morning and my whole house would have different wallpaper on different walls. And every room would be a different experience. And sometimes I did wall paneling. And then sometimes I did wallpaper. Sometimes I did painting. You know, I would paint. I want this room to feel larger, so I'm going to paint this wall and the ceiling, you know, or I'm going to put wallpaper on the ceiling because I want to make the whole room feel like artwork. So it was therapy. And it helped get me through the darkest season of my entire life, to be honest.
How did you take that therapeutic moment and really turn that into a business? Because I know a lot of people have dreams to start a business. And yes, you get support from friends, but then how do you sustain that and turn that into a book of business? Because right now you took design, and I think you have 3 other businesses that still now you got a corporation from this one idea. How did that turn into what you have now? Because essentially you're building an enterprise.
You know, it was very organic, to be honest. So for me, I required that before I come in and understand the potential that your place has, it has to be cleaned and organized. I can't look at mess and say, okay, what are we going to do? So it has to be cleaned and organized. So my clients started saying, well, can you do that? Like, bring in somebody to do it.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I already had, because I was in corporate and I was used to having my home cleaned and organized, I literally took the teams that I had been working with through the years who did my own home. And I said, hey, do you want to come partner with me, with my company, and do cleaning and do organizing and decluttering? Now, these are different teams, of course, but that's literally how it happened. Like, we did like a co-partnership and co-branding where, like, I have a whole company that I partner with that does all of my decluttering and organizing.
Yeah.
My cleaning crew is like cleaners that I worked with that cleaned some of my different homes. Now they are like employees of mine. For packing and moving, I would have teams come and pack up my home and move my home. I just use them for my business now.
So you started developing your partnerships then?
Way before I even started my business, because of how I live my lifestyle. I liked a certain lifestyle. So come pack up my house, move it, unpack it, declutter it, organize it so I can decorate it. So now I took that same concept and just recreated it and repurposed it for my clients.
That is amazing. How once you start walking in your purpose, in your calling, how things just started unfolding.
Yeah.
And it wasn't far-fetched because it came from, like you said, from your life already.
Yeah.
So it's just like taking my life, the things I like about my life, and now I can turn that into a business. And now you're designing that life you don't need vacation from.
Yeah.
Tell me about what that life looks like to you now from this standpoint, because you're out of those dark places that we mentioned, and then now you're in this new path. How does it look like now from this vantage point as this life is unfolding for you in real time?
When I tell you God is so good, I feel like I'm still amazed at the things that God is doing in my life.
Yeah.
Since I left corporate America, I have not been without a project. Not one time have I sat still and been without a project.
I mean,
not one time.
Yeah.
On an entrepreneurship startup business, I've still been able to keep my son in private school. We ain't missed a beat with the fresh food, organic, whole grain type diet that we eat. And so it has just, sometimes I don't even know how God does it, but the fact that I have not missed a beat. And when I say I live a life that I don't have to vacation from, before, vacation was where I would relax. I would get away from it all, like the stress. I just would go into this cocoon and recoup in another country, on another island.
Yeah, you had to escape almost.
Escape. There you
Yeah.
go. I would have to escape somewhere. Now I don't run from anything. I don't have to escape anything.
Yeah.
There's no part of my life that I live that I have to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's just a whole different like mindset.
Yeah.
Like I know now if I'm depleted and I'm frustrated and I'm having, you know, short-tempered, I know to go within and like to sit with myself and say, hey, what's going on? What are you not giving yourself now? Like I'm my vacation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like I'm my peace. And so now I don't have to go somewhere to get that. I can get that like right here within first. And so I think I answered your question. I feel like I kind of went in a few different directions.
You did.
But what was the original question? So I make sure I answer.
Like, what is, now that your life is unfolding, and the goal was to create a life that you didn't need a vacation from. Are you accomplishing that? Does it look like that now for you?
Girl, I am the woman I dreamed I would be right now.
Okay. The woman of your dreams.
I am the woman I dreamed I would be. You know how like when you were a little girl, she'd be like, I want to be her. Like I want to be the woman that is empowered. Like I am that woman now. Yeah. I am the woman that walks in a room, and as long as I'm there, I'm good. Mm-hmm. You know, like I don't look for that validation or that acceptance in anyone. Mm-hmm. You know, I see me. And growing up, one of the things that I never felt was seen, I never felt heard, mm-hmm. I never felt valued or protected. And now as the K'Ntrice Yvonne that sits right here, like I do all of that for me. Yeah. And that right there is, I don't even know how to put that into words, because that is what has changed me the most. Like I don't look to anybody else, even though I have an amazing village. When I tell you my village is incredible, my family, we aren't perfect, but we love and adore each other. I'm a mama's girl and a daddy's girl, okay?
Not both.
Yes, I am. And we built our relationships later in life. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't grow up super close to my mom. We had a lot of just challenges growing up. I didn't grow up close to my dad, you know. My mom was a good mom. My dad did the best he could, but we just had our challenges. And now I talk to them 15 times a day, you know, like about everything. Mm-hmm. And my village, I have an amazing group of friends. You know, they're all the aunties and uncles to my son. Yeah. But if something happened today and I wasn't able to get to them, I'd be okay. Like I know how to get it from me. Yeah. And that's what these seasons taught me. That's what laying up in the hospital taught me. Mm-hmm. That's what being a mother taught me. That's what blowing up my whole life in one fatal swoop, you know. Mm-hmm. That's what it taught me, how to go within and get it, because God has truly given me everything that I need within. I just got to quiet the noise, right? And listen and receive. And that's what I do now.
When I think of you, and as I'm listening to your story, I think about the aspects that make up your story, mm-hmm. because, you know, I can almost hear someone listening to this and saying like, wow, how do I get here? Mm-hmm. And get to a point where I'm the person of my dreams, mm-hmm. right? And I hear a lot of faith. Mm-hmm. I hear a lot of community, and family. Mm-hmm. At any point, was therapy a part of that? Was professional help a part of that kind of circumference and kind of holistic thing that you needed to kind of move forward and help you support you on this journey?
Girl, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on therapy. I just talked to my therapist yesterday. Yes, therapy was a huge part, because especially when I got out of the hospital and I left my long-term relationship, because I just was so disappointed in myself. Mm-hmm. I was disappointed in myself for getting COVID and putting my son at risk, even though it wasn't my fault.
No,
this is just the mindset. I was disappointed that my marriage didn't last, mm-hmm. right? I was disappointed that I couldn't make it work like old school. Like, what's wrong with me? Old school could stay. Why can't I stay? Yeah. You know? I was disappointed that the life I lived just wasn't good enough for me anymore. And my therapist really helped me understand, like, it's not good or bad. It just is, right?
Say that again.
It's not good or bad.
It just is. Yeah.
It just is. And every choice that you made, every decision that you've made, every part of your story, it's just part of your story. Like it doesn't define who you are. It's just part of your story. So the woman that I didn't recognize when I was in the hospital, that's still me. The woman that I was before then, where I was this pillar of strength and I was trying to save everybody, that's still me.
Yeah.
Now I am at a place where I know I don't need to save anybody, right? Like save yourself first, and then you can help others. Now I'm at a point, before I couldn't even receive help from others, now I can receive, you know? My value doesn't lie in what I can do for people anymore. Where I thought that's where it did lie, you know, middle child syndrome, growing up.
Yeah, see me, hear me.
Girl, yes. Are you a middle child?
I am not. I am my mother's oldest child. There's
another
list of issues
okay.
with that.
Yes, okay.
Of a Caribbean mother too. So it's a whole. I have my own little bag of things.
There you go. Listen, I understand. That's a whole nother thing. But you know, middle children. You know, not to even get into that, but there's just like sometimes we find our value in what we do for others. You know, because that's where you feel. That's where you get seen. Yeah. You know, and so that's kind of how I was living my life, and now I don't live my life that way anymore.
What's next for K'Ntrice Yvonne?
What's next for me? Well, one of the things that's really big next for me is really leaning more into my confidence coaching brand.
Yes, tell me about that, because we talked about the design and kind of the enterprise that you're building. Confidence coach is on here. I would love to hear more about that. Yeah.
So I Design Confidence Coaching is actually something that started in corporate America. So when I was in corporate, working at ADP, Groupon, Whirlpool, like all these big Fortune 500 companies, and even the tech startup companies that I worked for, a lot of the people, especially the women, would come to me and be like, can you mentor me? You seem to show up to work as your authentic self, and I want to learn how to do that.
Okay.
And literally, I would just talk to these women. Some of it would be about work, but a lot of it would be just about like learning to love just them for who they are, you know? And I would take them through the exercise that I told you I did. Like I would get a mirror, make them look in it, and tell themselves 3 things that they like or love about themselves. And if they couldn't come up with anything, pull from something you've heard somebody else say, right? And literally, they would come to me to just help navigate and make decisions and like share some of their life stories and how they overcome, like how can they overcome some of these, you know, familial challenges and challenges at work and self-talk challenges. Yeah. And so I was just doing it kind of in a informal way then. And when I left corporate America, my mother was like, you need to start a coaching business. I'm like, girl, no, what? No, please, what? We don't need another life coach, because that I am not.
There are so many, but yeah.
But I was talking to one of my best friends, and she was like, you really are like a confidence. Like you help people build confidence. And I was like,
that's it.
Confidence coaching.
Yeah.
And so I've actually done a couple of events. One of my girlfriends who has an amazing all-natural organic candle business, who's a survivor of thyroid cancer. She healed herself through just the holistic way. She never underwent treatment. She had stage 3 or 4 thyroid cancer and healed herself.
Oh my goodness.
Girl, right?
Yeah.
She had like this, she held like this forum online, and she invited me to be one of the speakers to talk about confidence coaching. And we took the ladies just through some exercises of just building up who they were from the core up, or from the core out. And it was amazing. And then there was another event where I was doing a speaking engagement about it. And so I really am leaning into that more, because that's just my passion. Like seeing people like rebuild themselves from the ground up, and become the person they always needed, the person they always dreamed they could be. Like that is so much a part of my passion, which is why I say like we change lives one room at a time.
Yeah, but sometimes the room is your heart.
Girl, you gotta say that exactly.
Yeah, and I see the alignment between changing the physical spaces, but then changing the spaces in your heart. Changing, when you said look in the mirror and say things that you like about yourself, that's changing the space in your mind. It is. And these are where we harbor emotions, and rooms harbor emotions. And sometimes you have to like clean that out. That's right. Start over. And really what you're doing is helping them redesign their lives from the inside out. Literally. What a beautiful ministry. Yeah. That, I mean, it feels like it found you though.
It did.
Okay.
It did. That's that one thing where I'm like, God, what is my purpose? He said, if you just take one step, I'll take 5.
Yeah.
Just take, I'm like, well, what is the one step? Just move forward. What is the thing that's keeping you up at night? Like literally that conversation they have with yourself.
Yeah.
I used to just be staring up at the ceiling with tears streaming, like, why am I here? What's my purpose?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know your purpose. Well, what is that? And it's like, what comes natural to you? You know?
I feel like it's so cliche because people say that all the time. What comes natural? And then when you're on the spot, it's just like, well, what do I do? What is it that I do naturally? I realize that a lot of people need that opportunity and that time to really sit to themselves.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that time was made to happen for you through the hospital, but that gave you time to reflect and really just self-discover. And I encourage our listeners, you know, there is no cookie cutter way to navigate a crossroad. There's no textbook way to even find your purpose and calling. I think where we run into issues is when you try to escape yourself.
That's it.
And
right
that's where all of this is coming from. And it came from a conversation with you, a moment with you. And now you're able to like transcend that into your calling and living your ministry.
Yes.
How is this changing the lives of people around you?
Girl, when I tell you I'm helping husbands want to come home at night. I worked with this one couple and the husband said, I didn't even realize how much I didn't like coming home until you changed my home. And he was like, it just didn't feel, it felt like a house. It just didn't feel like a home.
Was it the design or was it the relationship that had to change?
It might have been a little bit of both. Because, you know, it's something about that old couch, right? I ain't trying to be funny, but it's something about that old couch, some dull colors that maybe remind us of the life we used to have that we don't have no more. We don't want no more.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So these objects, they carry energy. They carry memories, right? So we get that old couch out of there. We paint the walls. We put some artwork up and we allow you to have a new, fresh feeling. This couple actually said, we want our home to feel like a resort because we do live a life where we have to go escape and go on vacation.
Okay.
And they said, we want to bring that to when we walk in our homes, we feel like we're walking into a resort. So I designed with colors that promote that, right?
Yeah.
Set up the furniture in a way that promotes that. And now when the husband walks in the home, that's what he experiences. Now, did his wife feel like it was a slap in the face? She's like, yeah, she did.
Yeah, because he invited another woman, quote unquote, even though you're a hired professional to do this work. But like, how dare you bring somebody in my home and tear down everything that I've built?
She didn't have no designer eye. This was one of my girlfriends. She didn't have, no, let me tell you something.
But
her house
still
looked like
her
a
house,
dome.
though.
It is still her house. And that's why I said, that's why we co-create the process together, right? It's a co-creation process. I said, how do you all want to feel and interact in your home? You know, and, you know, they had a daughter. They said, we don't want every room that look like we got children. You know, we want some rooms to just be adult rooms. So we made sure that the daughter had her place upstairs in the den where she could have her creative space and her time where she played and stuff like that. And we let the adult areas be the adult areas and recreated kind of a vacation style living, you know, with colors that promoted them being at the ocean, you know, and you know, in the Dominican Republic or something like that. You know how when you walk in those resorts, how it feels? Like that's kind of the theme that we were going for.
Yeah.
And I felt like it brought more harmony to them because when a home is disorganized, a woman, we just feel anxious. And so now we went in and we also decluttered and organized our home. So not only aesthetically was it pleasing, but it was organized. And so for her, she was operating different, which in turn made her husband feel different, which in turn made her daughter more calm. So that's the kind of impact we've had on families, you know. With individuals, I feel like people want to show their houses off. I got one girlfriend, every time somebody in the building, she'd be like, come up and see my place. And she always wanted to take somebody on a tour. And she was the person that she wouldn't even let you put a rug down back in the day. Like she was like, nope, this is not my home. I'm just renting this. So I don't want no decorations. Now she wants wallpaper. She wants drapes. She wants, you know, colors and beautiful rugs.
All the things.
She wants all the things.
Yeah.
Or we have couples that are just moving in with each other and they say, how do we co-create this life where it's a blend of both of our personalities? And so we sit down and get to know both of them and then blend the beauty of their two styles.
Yeah.
So when they look at their home, it's not just one person and I see all of my stuff. It's like both of their stuff. So I feel like I don't know. I feel like we heal relationships.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, we give space for the new, you know, by helping them get rid of the old. We bring in the beauty that exists inside of them and recreate it in the space that they live in every day and make it a space that they never want to leave.
So for people that are looking for a life change, a space change, and they want to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
Well, you can find me a few different ways. You can go to www.idesignstyles.com, or you can go to I_designstyles on Instagram and Facebook. And then for my confidence coaching brand, it is K'Ntrice Yvonne, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. So, and I can spell that for you. That's KNTRICEYVONNE.
I usually end these conversations by asking my guests to give advice, but I want to try something different that was like on my mind before I got here. I want you to think about that person that they're in the midst of their life blowing up and they don't have direction. They're not sure their purpose, their calling, or really what to do next. I want you to think about that person. Look into the camera, and I would love for you to speak life into them.
Okay. Let me think. I can just reach back to when that was me.
Yeah.
I ain't got to go far. I can take a mirror and look her right in the face right now. If I had to look into the eyes of that person that feels like they have created a life that they just want to escape, and they're living a life that they never thought that they would live, one of the first things I would say is make a list of everything that you really need to hear, right? Sometimes you may be waiting on your mother to say, I love you, or I'm proud of you. Sometimes you may be waiting on your father to acknowledge you. Sometimes you may be waiting on that partner to say, I choose you. Write down everything in the midst of this season that you need to hear from anybody else. And then I want you to get that trusty mirror, like I was talking about earlier in this episode, and I want you to say it to yourself. I want you to say, I love you. I pick you. You're my first choice. I want you to say everything that you need them to say, and then I want you to replace it with I. I am the person that I need. I choose me. I give myself the love that I need. I love me unconditionally. And this thing happens brick by brick. This is not something that happens overnight, just like you didn't get here overnight. So you got to rebuild yourself brick by brick, but it starts with you. The answer doesn't lie outside of you. It lies right within you. And that's how you start. Little by little, it turns into much by much. And then one day you will literally be the person that you dream you will be from the inside out. And then the outside will begin to reflect that.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much, K'Ntrice, for sharing your story and visiting Crossroads and Callings. It was such an honor just to have you here. And for all of our listeners, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find me on Substack, as well as all podcasting platforms. I really want to hear from you. Show K'Ntrice some love. Also, I would love to hear what some of your crossroad moments are, and as well as what you got from today's episode. Really, I just wanted to edify you through storytelling in a way that God allows. And I thank you for giving us your time. And I lastly want to give thanks to the National Museum of Public Housing for, again, allowing us to use their wonderful facility. If you are in the Chicagoland area, please pay them a visit. It's lots of Chicago history here. And on that note, I just want you to take your biggest crossroads and use those to catapult you to your largest calling. Thank you.
That was awesome.